Hello everyone and welcome to your healing subscription. So we're continuing our work through the chakras. We are moving on to the throat chakra today. And I have our layout next to me over here. I'm going to do some work on that before, after, and then I'll guide you through everything that's come up for today's session. So let's get into our slides. Right, so let's start with our tune in. So just take a deep breath in and out. And come into the space and set your intention for what it is that you would like to work with in today's session. Look at the light code activation that we have in front of us. This is our connection to be present with each other today. Just allow yourself to see where your eyes fall or land on the light code. Perhaps you want to trace the lines and just allow your mind and your intention to percolate and come to a point where you know what your intention is for today's session. So all the emotions that come up in today's session, or the questions that come up, bring them back to your intention and what it means for you. As always, at any point during this recording, if you need more time to process or more time to feel into something, just allow yourself to pause the video and then you can always continue in your own time. So in today's session, we have a Tree of Life layout and using again the Wands of Horus cards, or the BaKa cards, as I like to call them for short. And I'm also combining with that the soul plan cards. And so this is our layout that we have for today. So in our crown section for this layout, we have Shen, which is eternity. So Shen in itself is quite a protective energy, but it also reminds us that there is no time, and yet time is eternal. So perhaps a gentle reminder to come back to the present time. And in the present time at my side, the wind is howling. So I hope that doesn't pick up on the recording. In the wisdom section, we have the fire card. And so when we're looking at wisdom, this is where we get all of our, how we use our knowledge and our understanding to then make or become wise through that, so that we can step into this eternal self. And so the fire wants to alchemize or burn that energy into place and perhaps purify that. Our understanding section here is about synchronicity. So understanding how synchronicities help us to get to where we want to be, where we need to be. In the knowledge section, we've got radiance. So how we shine our light and how knowledge is shining light on how we act and react. In the mercy section, we've got the receive card. And so perhaps we also need to receive our own compassion and love and nurturing towards ourselves. In the strength section, we've got the union card, and perhaps a reminder that together we are stronger. And the same goes for within your body. All your different bodies and all your systems within the body, they are stronger when they work together. In the equilibrium section, we have the jet, or protection. And this is also called the buckle of Isis. So it's a very, very strong protective, but also a very nurturing quality that we have here. So the nurturing, if we just take ourselves back to the receive section here, the mercy section, which is what we need to do for ourselves, the compassion and all of that, we need to be able to receive that compassion. That will also take us through to this protection and mothering and nurturing that we have over here. Then we get to our victory. Our victory is the Ankh card, or the immortal self. And so perhaps a reminder of our immortality and our endlessness, or I can't even find my word now, eternal spiritual nature. And just across from that, we have in our glory, we've got Ren, which is the true name. Now, in both of these cases, our true name and our immortal self. So our true name is not necessarily the name that we have in this life, but this is our true name, our angelic name, our spiritual name, our soul name. These two are acting like a balancing force between this protection that we have here and also life that we have on this side. The foundation that we have is Ankh, or life. And then the kingdom right at the bottom is earth. So this is actually a really beautiful layout that we have here, where the earth is that grounding factor that comes through life and protection and radiance, and actually just energetically they move up and they move into eternity. So I think this is a really, really beautiful layout that we have. Then when it comes to the soul plan cards, we have our polarity card. Our polarity card for today is all about the grace and connection complex. So the polarity within the 22-4 is beauty and ugliness. And when the 22 comes up as a polarity, it could talk about our spiritual connection or disconnection. It may be that on some level you may feel abandoned by the divine, or that you may feel that there's creative blockages. It could indicate mental confusion, perhaps imbalances, or even anxiety. And the anxiety would come as a side effect of all of those other feelings that you had before. It may talk about shadow, integrating the shadow side, or maybe even hiding the shadow side. And it could perhaps be about a lack of acceptance of life and reality. So it's almost like you don't want to see what's happening in life. So there's a denial of that. Our separation that we have with the polarity is a 9-9, and 9 is about power. So when we have this combination of a 22-4 with a 9, this is about superimpositioning, or it's about overshadowing force. And it's usually about giving away power. And what the 9 is wanting us to reach or achieve is a greater sense of perception, so that we can see on a greater scale or level what's really going on in this life. Okay, so there's quite a bit to unpack in today's session. And yeah, let's see where we're going to go with all of these. As I dowsed through and I checked what was our emotion based on what we have, the spread that we've got, and also your intentions, the emotion that came up was rebellious, and it's in relation to peace. So it could be that when there's peace around, you rebel in some way, shape, or form. Or perhaps when there's no peace, you rebel in some way, shape, or form. So just sit with that. What does it mean for you, rebellious in relation to peace? And what's also coming up is that perhaps a gentle reminder is that the rebel is actually a flip side of the victim archetype. So usually people who are rebellious, or who are, they're big rebels, I myself is one of those rebels, we tend to carry and wear that rebel badge with pride. We go like, I'm a rebel and I go against everything, and like, oh. But if we really think into that and feel into that, am I being a rebel, or am I feeling like a victim and I feel I need to protect myself? And one of the best ways to protect is then to become that rebel, the strong person, because then you don't feel like the weak victim. So just feel into that as well. And the whole process, so the information, your intention, and everything we've spoken about so far is in relation to misalignment of purpose. So how does being a rebel misalign you towards your purpose, and how can we change that? Then we've also got a sabotage that we wanted to look at. And the sabotage, this is a subconscious belief or a shadow belief or an excuse, is I can take my time or I cannot take my time. Just feel into that. What does it mean for you? I can take my time. I cannot take my time. Is this something that you allow yourself to do, or is it something that you punish yourself or beat yourself up about? And our emotion in relation to this particular shadow belief is inconsistent, and it's in relation to inner wisdom. Inconsistent in relation to inner wisdom. So is your inner wisdom consistent, or is it something that's inconsistent? So just feel into that. And also just the inner wisdom and the whole consistency story, that would fit in really nicely. Well, not so nicely, but it fits in with the 22-4. So this is something that is sitting in the background. So in the center of our layout or spread today, there's just another one that came in. I've got these light code cards that I've got. These I just created over time. The light codes that I've done. And today, one of these wanted to come in. And the particular light code that came in is the light code activation for spiritual gifts. So if you check on my Instagram, you'll have to scroll down quite a bit because it'll be right down towards the bottom of the page. You'll get a color version of this light code activation. It's done in silver and in gold and a blue background. And so when I tune into almost like what is the reason for this particular light code to come up, the sense that I get is that we have spiritual gifts and we can use our spiritual gifts if we know that we have those. And so perhaps this is a reminder of what your spiritual gifts are and how can you use those within your life, and how can you use those gifts to move towards what it is that you are wanting to achieve in this life. So let's quickly just do a very quick test. I want you to look at this black screen. Just focus your gaze onto the black screen. And I'm just going to quickly use the pendulum over here. And the question that comes up is, are you stuck in your ideas? Okay, now pendulum is giving us a bit of a swing. Okay, you can let go of the whole black screen. Let's see if you look at it. It's okay. If you don't look at it, it's also okay. Actually, wait, let's do a stop share over here. Next, I want you to just turn your head over to the left as far as you can. And do you take care of yourself? Let's turn the head over to the right. Do you take care of yourself? Okay, so left was okay, but right was not okay. So we just keep that in the background as information. We can always come back to that at a later stage to see how it goes. Okay, so next we want to put some points into our system. So I've dowsed already to check what our points are that we're working with today, and we're going to insert those. In the last video, some people have said that it was very hard to follow where these points were because my screen was so small, so I've made some graphics to make it a bit easier for us. Okay, so our first point that we have is the brain. So you can just take two fingers like thumb and index finger and just put that on top of your head. And so just see how brain would relate to your issue or your focus for today's session. Of course, the brain is an important part of our function within the body. And so it directs our mind, our actions, our reactions, etc., etc. So everything is processed through the brain. Our next point is the DNA. And so you just use one finger and place that on the bridge of your nose, and you can let go of the brain point, and we keep this point attached. So the DNA here is perhaps any encoding work that's happened over the years in your DNA. And so we're working on a DNA level to perhaps clear what is there. Our next point is the crown chakra. So just have one hand hovering above your head, palm towards the crown, and you can let go of DNA. So our crown chakra is our connection to source. It's our connection to spirit, to our higher self, and to, yeah, just our spiritual nature. So reconnecting to that. Next, we've got the large intestine. So take all 4 fingers like that and just put your fingers there on the spot. So if you have a look, and each of us have a slightly different shape rib cage. So from your xiphoid process, this is where the little soft part is just under your ribs to the bottom of the rib. And you want to be halfway between that. So maybe just find where xiphoid is, find where the base of your lower rib is, and then maybe in the middle there, and then you're going to just put your fingers straight out, all 4 fingers in a row onto the large intestine, and we can let go of the crown. So large intestine is all about processing, and it's about extracting what is good for you and releasing what is no longer good for you. So this is all about that release, letting go of what no longer serves. Our next point is particles. So this point is actually just below the navel. So one finger just below the navel and hold there. Particle could be anything. This could be external particle, it could be internal particle, it could be particles that needs to be released from the body, like toxins, or it could be particles that are introduced into the body. And then our last point is the autonomic nervous system. So take all of your fingers together like that, like make a little flower with your fingers and place that just in the soft part under your ribs. Autonomic nervous system, this is all about our fight or flight and our peace situation happening with our nervous system. So autonomic is parts of our nervous system that we do not control. So it's our breathing, our organs, and things like that. But when we're stressed, it switches over to the sympathetic nervous system, and when we are in a comfortable position, then it switches over into the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, just to lock all of this in, you just tap on your top of your head, just behind your hairline, just go tap, tap, and that is all saved, and then you can let go of all of these points. Okay, so next I want to look at some of the emotions that came up in relation to the story. So maybe what I'll do is let's quickly hop back. I'm going to hop to a blank screen. Actually, you can stop share maybe. Let's go pop it there, stop share. So let's have a look at the emotions that came up. The emotions that came up for today's session is first one, oops, let me just get my bearings here. Okay, the first emotion that came up is treasure, and it's in relation to risk. So just tune in and think about, what does treasure mean to you in relation to risk? And how does that relate to your intention? And just perhaps feel into the word treasure, and in your body conjure up a feeling what treasure means or feels for you. And once you have that feeling, just tap in on your crown, tap, tap. Our next emotion is icy, and it's in relation to mania. So again, tune into what that feels like for you. What does that mean for you? How does icy feel within your body? And how does mania feel? And once you've got that, tap in on your crown. Next, we have reputation, and it's in relation to ease. Reputation in relation to ease. What does that mean for you? How does that feel? Allow yourself to really feel that in your body. Reputation, ease. Perhaps you don't have ease around reputation. Perhaps you have. Feel what it feels like for you. And tap that in. Finally, we've got eliminate, and it's in relation to criticism or judgment. Eliminate in relation to criticism or judgment. Let's tap that in on your crown. Let's put it all together. 2 fingers with like a staple on top of your head. This is our brain point. And let's just quickly run through everything that we've spoken about so far. So we want to just, and when we look at the emotions here, so also with the points, what does it mean to have brain involved with your intention? DNA, your crown chakra, your connection to source. Our processing and elimination, letting go of what no longer is serving us, what no longer is needed. Our stress situation, our peace situation, treasure in relation to risk, icy in relation to mania, reputation in relation to ease, eliminate in relation to criticism or judgment. Just feel all of those things. Just tune into your body and allow yourself to feel what you feel. And then we're going to tap just in front of the hairline or just behind the hairline. Tap, tap. And then we can let go of brain point. One more point to hold, and that is 4 fingers and just over your right ear. So just a straight line over your right ear. And this is our secondary gain point. Maybe just tap in behind the hairline again. We've got secondary gain here in relation to reputation and ease. So secondary gain is when we've got an excuse of sorts. What do we gain from reputation and ease? So if you've got reputation, if you do have an like ease when it comes to reputation, what excuses does it give you? If you do not have ease when it comes to reputation, what excuses does that give you? Like what can you say? Well, oh, I can't go there because people say this and this and this. Oh, my reputation is like this, so I need to be like this. There's usually an excuse like that. Oh, I can't do this because I've got a reputation to uphold. Is it easy to do that, or are you actually struggling with that? Is it taking a lot of energy from you? So those are all things to consider. Okay, so next I brought in some archetypes. And our first archetype that needs balancing is, this is our negative archetype, is the gossip. And the gossip thrives on power of passing on private and secret information. And it's usually about betraying of confidence. So this may or may not be something that you do. I think we all have some form of the gossip archetype in our archetypal nature. We don't always mean badly with that, but perhaps just see how your gossip relates to your current issue and your current goal and your current situation. Our balancing archetype, or archetype that we want to move towards, is Midas. So Midas is all about taking your entrepreneurial or creativity or your creative abilities and turn all of that into gold. It's also about finding delight in sharing your life's riches, but also your purpose with the rest of the world. So it's a really powerful archetype to have. And just remember, the negative, this one is not great, but in the positive, it's actually really amazing because we can turn whatever it is that we're wanting to work with into something positive, and we can turn it into gold. I also like to bring in an Aura Soma bottle, and our Aura Soma bottle that came up for today's session is Sanat Kumara. It's actually really beautiful colors that we've got over here. Sanat Kumara is all about personal loss, but transpersonal gain. And so this is quite a, it's not, I would say it's probably a deep bottle that we're working with today. Perhaps find a way that you can introduce these colors into your week, in the coming week. The pink, the very light pink on top, and sort of the pale gold yellow at the bottom. Um, the dominant characteristic here is all about connection or interdependence with all things. So this is about stepping away from codependence, stepping away from being held back in a specific way. Um, on the challenge aspect, could indicate someone who needs excessive amounts of love, like you are constantly looking for that love um, or affection, or maybe even confirmation of things. So what this could do is it could lead to relationships where there's dependency involved, um, where we tend to look at people um, through their masks. Like people put masks on to portray themselves in a specific way. And what you do is instead of looking behind the mask, you look at the mask itself. And so this can lead to issues of abandonment as well, because you misinterpret people and how people act and react. Um, so this is, as I mentioned, this is quite deep stuff over here in today's session. And on the spiritual level, what this bottle is all about is about a better understanding of suffering, and to bring you a deep awareness of what happens in life and how you can learn and grow through that. So how can you learn and grow through suffering? How can you, yeah, how can you maybe accept the suffering, in a different way? So it's really about seeing the bigger picture over here. On the emotional level, this is all about deep, deep clearing. So this is, again, a very powerful bottle that's coming up in today's session. Our affirmation for this particular bottle is, I learn and grow through the difficulties of life. I learn and grow through the difficulties of life. Okay, so we are about to move into our balance for today's session. And what I invite you to do is, whenever something gets heavy, or whenever you struggle to connect with an emotion or a feeling or something like that, then your correction point or your holding point that you're going to have is one hand on the heart, doesn't matter which one, see which one feels comfortable, and the other one on the third eye. You don't have to hold this throughout the process, but whenever you feel something is feeling heavy for you, then do it this way, or you can swap your hands around. Just a little bit of a background as to when or why this particular combination. This combination is all about owning your power. Now, as I always say, you can't make this stuff up. Our first card that we drew, our second card actually, is the nine. So the nine is all about power. And remember, what I do is I dowse through lists and lists and things, and I don't really look at what these dowsing things are. So as I then do the session now, as I'm sitting here now, I'm doing the interpretation. So when I was setting up all of our notes, I did not even think that the 3 and the 5 is all about power, and it relates to card number 9. I'm seeing that right now as I'm actually seeing the card in front of me, and I'm looking at my notes that I've made, and I go, oh, it's actually personal power or own power, and there's the card. So you can't, this information comes in a very specific way, and it's something that we need to hear today. Okay, so what I want you to do is, I want you to actually close your eyes and drop down into your heart space. Get a sense of what it feels like in your body right now in this moment. So all of the stuff that we spoke about, all of the information that came up, how does that relate to your goal, your intention for today? Not really analyzing or judging what you feel, just really paying attention to what is happening within your body right now. No judgment. Just feel it. As you feel into what your body is feeling, you are invited to connect to an ancestor. This could be anybody in your ancestral lineage. So it could be a parent, a grandparent, great grandparent, perhaps even an extended ancestor like an uncle or an aunt. Someone within your lineage or within your connection of lineage. And just allow whoever that person is to come up and to connect with that person. And perhaps that person has some advice for you, some guidance, or perhaps there's some experience that this ancestor can help you with. So just allow whoever comes up to come up. If at any point you need extra time, feel free to pause the video. Next, we want to make a visualization or a movie. So think about what it is that you are wanting to bring into your life. What is it that your intention is for today? How is your intention or your focus different to your current reality? So basically, how do you want to change your reality? I invite you to make a new movie. Play a movie in your mind where you already have what it is that you are trying to manifest. You already have what it is that you are trying to bring into your world. And while you play the movie, pay particular attention to what you're feeling within your body. And we don't necessarily have to give names to these feelings. It doesn't have to be like I'm feeling the emotion of love or joy or happiness or whatever. More important than that is to maybe give it a more of a descriptive word. It feels hot, it feels fuzzy, it feels tingling, it feels light, it feels heavy, it feels dense, it feels warm, cold. So give it descriptive words. Perhaps it is, I feel a tingling in my shoulder, a fluttering in my heart, a heaviness in the base of my spine. Be very descriptive in what happens as you play your movie in the body. These descriptive words are a lot more powerful than the actual emotional word. If anything is feeling too crazy for you, remember one hand on the heart and one hand on the third eye. As you're playing your video or your movie and you're visualizing this new way of being, what lessons did you learn from this experience? Having experienced having and not having, perhaps what did you have to go through to get to this point in the movie? What choices did you have to make to get there? Were those choices easy or hard to make? Now I want you to go deeper into the feelings. Give yourself permission to feel. feel what it feels like within your body, having already achieved what it is that you're trying to manifest, what it is that you're trying to bring into your life. Really allow yourself to feel on a very, very deep level. If you could make a symbol for what it is that you're trying to bring in, what it is that you're wanting to achieve, what would that symbol be? How would the symbol look? Perhaps take a moment to draw that symbol down. This is going to be your symbol for what it is that you wanted to bring in, or what it is that you want to achieve. It could be as simple as a dot or a circle, or it could be a little bit more elaborate. And we are asked to again connect to an ancestor. Perhaps a different ancestor this time. Perhaps it's the same ancestor. Just allow yourself to see who comes up. And what does this ancestor have or bring to the table? What is this ancestor wanting to share with you? Or is there a question that you have to ask towards this ancestor? Next, we want to connect to a nature spirit. This could be a water spirit, tree spirit, perhaps a stone spirit, mountain spirit. Whatever feels good or right for you, or perhaps whatever is the first thing that comes to mind for you. Allow yourself to connect to this spirit of the nature. And perhaps this spirit has a message for you, or perhaps you've got a question for it. Allow yourself to commune with this nature spirit. Allow yourself to stay with the feeling. Stay with the feeling. Gently bring yourself back to this time and space. And we're going to bring all of those things in and just balance them into position. So let's quickly get this in position. So let's go and hold those 2 points on top of the head again. I'm just going to use pendulum to see whether this is now holding. Okay, that's holding. And I want you to take a moment to just feel into the emotion of treasure in relation to risk. See how that feels now compared to what we had earlier. Feel into icy in relation to mania. How does that feel now compared to when we started? So I'm just using pendulum to check what's going on. tune into the emotion of reputation in relation to ease, and to see how that feels now. And then eliminate in relation to criticism or judgment. How does that feel now? Okay. Let's lock all of that in. So what you do is eye line. So from your pupils down, just trace a line down, 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 down to the ribs. So just onto the edge of the ribs, take two fingers like a staple and hold there. And then you can either use a different hand or you can use that same hand. Actually, let's hold the 2 points, tap in on the hairline, and then equal spacing up. So the same distance that you had side to side, you're going to take that same distance up, and that's going to be the next point. So you're going to hold there, and then one hand is going to go above the heart and one hand above the solar plexus, not touching, just hold it there, and we're just balancing this. Perhaps be aware of any sensations you feel within the body. You may find that there's slight movements with your hands. Perhaps your hands are feeling like they are pulling out a little bit, pulling away. In fact, actually take fingertips towards the chest like that. And I'm going to do the same on my solar plexus. So hold both of those like that. And then just imagine you very slowly pulling your fingers out of maybe a pot of honey or something, pot of molasses or something. So it's like your fingers are stuck to something. We're very slowly pulling them out. And you can release that. Next, you want to, oops, right side. Next, you want to hold hand above your crown and one above your crown, one above your third eye. Just balancing the crown chakra that came up within our balance. Again, you may find that there's a slight movement within the hands or a little bit of a pulling motion. That's okay. And finally, we're going to do 4 fingers on the middle of your forehead. And then your other hand can be on your solar plexus. We can have a hand on the heart. See what feels good for you. So very balancing hold. And release. So finally, we drew some cards to see what is the opportunity and the solution and the result for today's session. So the opportunity that we have is the 13 card. So this is what we have an opportunity to learn about. And so 13 is all about healing and teaching. It's a very nurturing and soft, gentle, mothering energy. It's a very, very positive energy. It's also to do with radiance and like maybe a bit of a smile. So almost like that healing smile that we have. It also is a very abundant energy, but it's with the abundance, there's usually a sense of generosity as well. So yeah, it's about that compassionate, loving, nurturing, mothering quality, but there's that radiance, and radiance we had in our layout as well. Our solution, this is going to be our work that we're going to have to do, so our homework. Solution here is the 19-1. Now the 19-1, where the 13-4 is about smiling and being radiant, The 19-1 is about laughter. So this is something like laughter yoga or something like that. This is really about allowing yourself to laugh. The 19-1 is also about packaging or holding your skills, your knowledge, your wisdom, your power, or whatever it is that you're working with. We're wanting to package it, package things in a way that you can share with others. It's a very, very intuitive energy. So we are invited to trust our intuition in this time, to be lighthearted, to work with humor. So perhaps spend some time watching movies or things that's going to make you laugh. It's going to be very, very lighthearted. It's very important for that. 19-1 is also about owning your spiritual power and about healing and also teaching and sharing. And then again, you can't make this up from a deck of cards that we shuffle. We get the 22 card again as our result. So what can we expect to achieve if we do this 19-1 homework? And the 22 card, which was our first card, comes up again. And this is all about the creativity. It's about containment in a healthy way. This is about being independent and self-sufficient. This is about accepting or understanding or viewing or seeing your own inner beauty. It's about being adaptable to situations or places wherever you are. And it's a very positive energy and also associated with radiance, similar to the 13-4. You'll see both of them have the 4 quality. That 4 is that radiance quality. So the abundance and the generosity is shining in both of these cards or energies. So yeah, that puts it all together. So what I will do is I will give you within the description of the video and also within the description notes, I'll give you some ideas as to things that you can do for 19-1. So types of homeworks that you can do or to bring the 19-1 quality in. So I hope that you found some insights in today's session. I think it was on some level quite a deep session if you allow yourself to go deeply into those feelings and emotions. I'm going to the wind is saying yes in the background. I'm going to get this video up and running, and then I'm just going to continue doing a little bit more work. I've got the chart next to me, as I've mentioned, so I just want to do some finishing touches on that frequency and energy as well to send that out to all of you. But spend the next week, spend some time to really focus on how this information relates to what your intention was and your focus, and then get to do this 19-1 quality energy work. So that is it from my side for the video. And I hope that you receive this healing for today well. And I will see you in the next session. Sending you lots of love and light. Take care.